Hello. All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm okay. Hello. All right. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Oh wow, your webcam is already perfectly set up for the stream. I didn't even have to do anything to make it look good. All right, here we go. Okay, so yeah, Lynn. I'm pretty sure Lynn's a guy. Yeah, Lynn's a dude. So they should be joining us shortly. I'll add them to the group. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm not sure if they've ever used if Lynn has ever used Discord before. I think they use Skype for all their podcasts. Like peasants, like we used to do. Just kidding. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it will all go well. Alright, I'm excited to see how my new... Oh, I need to test and see if I... Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen, or turn on my webcam, and my webcam should be the stream, what the stream is seeing. So I'm gonna turn that on and see if it tanks my internet. Can you see that? Okay. Can you hear me? Is everything looking fine with it? Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, is it flipped? Okay, hold on. Let me fix that real quick. Okay, so I think it'll be fine. I don't know if it'll... Okay, horizontal flip. Okay, let's try that. Is it still flipped like that? Okay, perfect. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know if it'll like tank my internet or anything, because I'm streaming, and now I'm streaming my webcam to you. So we'll see. Hopefully, oh my gosh, they can hear me on stream! Oh my god, that is so embarrassing. Hi guys. Hello everybody. That's embarrassing. Greetings, everybody. Hello. Let me go ahead and minimize everything. My monitors currently are very cluttered, I guess is what you could say. But welcome, everybody, to Matterhorn Mondays. Glad to have everybody here. As you guys may or may not know, we have Lynn from TheSweepSpot joining us today. And I'd like to do, before we actually start the show, I'd like to do a quick microphone test for myself and for everybody else, because I noticed the past couple episodes the levels on the microphones have been like really bad. So I guess we can all sort of take this few couple of seconds to talk and then see if everybody in the chat can hear us properly. So, hello everybody, my name is Matterhorn Matt, and now it's Alex's turn to say something.
Hello everybody, I am Alex the historian, and I'm better than Matterhorn Matt.
And now let's have Lynn take a shot at it.
This is Lynn from TheSweepSpot.
All right, so let us know in the chat if you guys can hear us fine, if someone needs to be turned up. I think Alex needs to be turned up a bit. Yeah, so just let us know.
Lower than him.
Yeah, so my microphone, I've been fiddling with my microphone, new microphone, so I'm still sort of getting the hang of it. I think I need to sit actually really close to the mic for it to actually sound nice. But yeah, everybody in chat, please let us know if someone needs to be turned up.
If anybody's volume needs to be turned up, if my volume needs to be turned up, or if Lynn's volume needs to be turned up or down, or I don't know, anything.
Yeah. My Disney Park Memories says, sounds good. Yeah, Lynn doesn't have a webcam, so we just have the logo. Yeah, it's just Alex and I today for the webcams. And I did buy a new processor, like I said last week. So I'm excited to see how that fares during this episode. Caleb says, sounds pretty good to me. I'm actually going to do a quick... I'm going to record this really quick, because I want to make sure that this is sounding fine. So I'm going to do a quick recording here. Hello, everybody. This is Matterhorn Matt, and this is a test to see if our microphones are working.
I'm Alex the historian, and this is a test to see if the microphones are working for Matt, because he doesn't know how to do this stuff.
I had a question. How can I see the chat on here?
Yeah.
You can what I do is I tune into the live stream. So I'm actually watching the live stream as it's happening on YouTube right now.
Okay.
So there's a delay, obviously, but it's the best thing we got.
So I'm not going to listen to it. I'll just read it, so that works.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm watching the playback. Okay, Alex needs to be turned up. I'll turn it up to 65, and then let's see. Okay, I think everybody needs to be turned up. Alright, so I'm glad I did that. Okay, we should be fine. If you guys notice anything, just please let us know in the chat, because I can, fix the audio on the fly. I want it to be perfectly sounding for you guys, so yeah, we can go ahead and get this show underway. Very excited. We got a lot of great topics to discuss, so let's get this show on the road.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Our largest single-themed land expansion ever.
Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 99. 99 episodes, you guys, of Matterhorn Mondays, coming to you live from the Outpost. I am your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I'm Alex the historian.
And today, we have special guest, very special guest. Very excited to have, we have Lynn from the TheSweepSpot podcast joining us today. Why don't you say hello to everybody watching and everybody listening at home?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a really great episode. We have a lot of amazing topics planned for you guys today. Guess I can go ahead and give a rundown of the topics we're going to be covering. First, we're going to be going into the quote-unquote leaked concept art by WDW News Today from the brand new Spider-Man attraction. I want to go into a very, 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 very deep discussion as to whether or not those images that they provided are fake or not. Probably not, but we'll get into it as you see. And for our second topic, we have a very interesting topic I saw from blogmickey.com. Magic bands? Are magic bands coming to the Disneyland Resort? We'll let you guys know our thoughts on that. And last but not least, I want to get into let's see. Well, I guess first we should preface this by saying Lynn used to be a cast member at Disneyland Resort, as well as Alex. I'd like to get into a discussion with the both of them about their thoughts on the current, I guess, how do I put this? The current, I guess, situation the cast members are going through at Disneyland. As well as go into the background of both of them, because I'm sure, as you guys know, Alex worked at the parks, but for new listeners, they may or may not know that Alex did, so we're going to go ahead and give a rundown of that. But before we get into any of those topics, links to everything, as you know, are down in the description to my Discord, Twitter, Patreon, all of that jazz, as well as links to the TheSweepSpot podcast and Lynn's Twitter will be down in the description below. And we also...
my Twitter.
Oh yeah, we'll pull Alex's Twitter there as well. Yeah, I don't think we've had that the past couple episodes, but yeah, we have no birthdays this week, sadly. If you'd like to be wished a happy birthday live on stream, you can head on over to the link in the description down below. Submit your name, submit your birthday. We'll wish you a happy birthday live on the podcast. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my fan off so you guys won't have to... There we go, so you guys won't have to hear it in the background. But I did end up buying a new processor. Hopefully it bodes well for the streams. We'll see. This is sort of like the first real test I've done. But yeah, I also have new t-shirts up on my Teespring page. If you guys are interested in that, I know a lot of you guys don't really care about me plugging my merch, but we do have a few new designs up on the page, and you can use code BEANS to get 15% off your order. That's BEANS. Use code BEANS. Link in the description below. And yeah, before we get into this week's news from the Peak, I'd like to showcase to you guys what flavor Snapple I'm drinking. Today we're going classic peach Snapple. Let's go ahead and pop this bad puppy open. And then, I have a lot of announcements for today's stream. I don't know if you guys know, but I bought this mug, this Alice in Wonderland mug, that I've been looking for like the past month and a half, because I wanted to get a tattoo of the design on it. And it managed to come in. This is like the bane of my existence, this mug. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this week's news from the Peak.
We now present to you news from the Peak.
For our first bit of news from the Peak, I don't really know what to make of this, but Disney's live-action remake of Aladdin has passed $1 billion worldwide. Yeah, very interesting. As you guys may or may not know, I saw the live-action Aladdin, I want to say a couple months ago. Not the biggest fan of it. There were some moments where I was laughing, so bad it's good moments. Definitely not as good as the original. This is actually Disney's 5th branded live-action release alongside Beauty and the Beast, Alice in Wonderland, and the 2nd and 4th Pirates of the Caribbean films. So Disney's really knocking it out of the park with these live-action remakes. And this is not Disney's first movie to pass $1 billion just this year. Avengers Endgame has passed $1 billion. So did Captain Marvel, I believe. Spider-Man Homecoming as well just passed $1 billion, so that's just 4. I think Toy Story is getting close as well. So that's at least 5 this year that may or may not have passed $1 billion. But let's go ahead and start with Mr. Lin here. What are your thoughts on Aladdin, of all movies, passing $1 billion worldwide?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things about it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair assumption. Yeah, what about Mr. Alex, the historian?
People probably know I have a bit more of a not pessimistic, but just overall skeptical view on movies like this. I have no interest in seeing this movie, and I don't know. I didn't really like the original Aladdin movie that much either, so I don't know.
Yeah. I get a lot of flack for saying that the original is not my favorite Disney movie. Because there's like some hardcore Aladdin fans out there. But anyways, yeah, very interesting. I'm very interested to see how this affects. I'm sure even more live action films are going to be coming. Actually,
but you know what's weird?
Yes. Actually, no. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So what's weird is the amount of movies that are surpassing $1 billion lately.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember there was a time when it was like, what, $1 billion? But it's like every weekend, it's like, oh, by the way, this movie just passed $1 billion. And I don't know. I'm starting to think now that we should probably like readjust our surprise or amazement to like maybe if it surpasses like 2 or 3 billion now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said,
prices are higher too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I said, this is not the first movie for Disney to pass, that Disney's put out that has passed $1 billion just this year, and we're not even. I think we're barely a little bit more than halfway through the year. I don't know. I'm not gonna try and do the math right off the top of my head, but
Matt, it's July.
It's July, so my mind is blanking right now.
There's 12 months.
Okay, so there's 12
year.
months in a year, and it's July, so January, February, March, April.
Oh my God.
So we're 7 months.
July is the 7th month. It's over the halfway point.
Okay, so just over the half. We're almost into August, so just over, even more over the halfway point. I'm not good with months, you guys. Someone is gonna... Anyways, there was something in the chat. Ross W. said, it's my son's birthday today. He is 18. Can you wish him a happy birthday? His name is Zachary. Thank you guys so much. Happy birthday to Zachary. 18th. It's not a quinceañera. It's how do you say 18 in Spanish? Quince. Anyways, happy birthday to Mr. Zachary, 18. Hope you have a great birthday. Glad you're spending it watching the stream today. But anyways, for our second bit of news from the peak, I'm not going to go in depth on all these films. Marvel did release, or reveal, I guess, their Phase 4 movie and TV show lineup through 2021. If you'd like to hear me go into even more depth on all these films and TV shows, you can head on over to Mad About Disney's channel. I was a guest on his podcast there the other day, and we spent a good while discussing all of the brand new movies and films. I'm just going to go ahead and sort of give you guys a quick rundown as to the films that were announced. As you may know, Black Widow coming out May 1st, 2020, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show on Disney+, fall 2020, The Eternals movie coming out November 6th, 2020, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings coming out February 12th of 2020, and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out May 7th, 2021. WandaVision TV show comes out spring 2021. There's even more, guys. Loki TV show on Disney Plus coming out spring 2021. And I believe there's 3 more. What If TV show coming out summer 2021. Hawkeye TV show on Disney Plus fall 2021. And Thor 4 Love and Thunder comes out November 5th, 2021. Whew. Yeah, like I said, not going to go into in-depth on our thoughts on all of these, because we do have a lot of other great discussions that we're anxious to get into. Like I said, if you'd like to hear me go in-depth on these, head on over to Mad About Disney's, his YouTube channel. Yeah, we went into a great discussion about that. And for our last bit of news from the peak, it's from blogmickey.com, and links to all the articles we're going to be talking about are in the description as always. Let's see, annual pass holder previews are coming to Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios, and the previews will take place August 17th through the 21st. And actually, it's funny, I was reading this while I was typing up my notes. I saw there's like a little asterisk on top of the article, and it said the event had already been filled to capacity like a few hours after the article was posted. So if you're listening to this and you were thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta follow the link to get a preview to Galaxy's Edge, well, I'm sorry to say, it's already filled to capacity, and pass holders will have access to the land for 4 hours. I guess it's sort of similar to the reservation stuff that went down at Disneyland, except it's not touted as a reservation. I'm sure Disney learned their lesson with that. Yeah, I believe that is everything from this week's news from the Peak, and I don't believe we have anything from Alex in the Parks this week, do we?
No, there hasn't been anything to show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next week we'll have some inside scoop from Alex, straight from the parks. I need to make like a theme song for all of our segments, like Alex in the Parks, something like that.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah, that's all. You guys in the chat, if anyone can like play the piano or anything, let us know, because that'd be awesome. Anyways, we're going to get into our first main topic of the day. I'm very excited to talk about this. As you may or may not know, he who must not be named, the website, WDW News Today, quote-unquote leaked a piece of concept art from the Spider-Man attraction coming to California Adventure and Disneyland Paris. Now, this is a very interesting topic because WDW News Today totes this image as quote-unquote never-before-released concept art of the ride vehicle and load area for this upcoming attraction. Those are their words specifically. So they're claiming this image is from insiders. Don't know how they got access to this, but we'll get more into depth on that in just a few seconds. This can bring up a few different discussions, like one, why did WDW News Today put their watermark over an image they don't own? That's sort of the main sort of focus of this. If you guys have been on Twitter within the last week and a half, you'll know WDW News Today posted this image to their Twitter and to their website. And right here, right in the middle, I went ahead and removed it because I don't want to be advertising for them. They had their logo right smack dab in the middle. Pretty small. You wouldn't really notice it if you just gave it like a passing glance. But that's sort of topic number one that this brings up. Number two, how did they get access to this high-res image of concept art for this upcoming attraction when there's been no official release of the art? And three, all of this sort of combines into the main theory that I have. Is this image fake? And I do have a few pieces of quote-unquote evidence that I'd like to present to you guys for you to make your own decisions on whether or not it's fake. As we can see here in the concept art, let's see, this is the loading area for the new attraction. And here on the left-hand side, we can see the Stark Motors logo on the left. Right here in the middle, we can see the Web logo right in the center. And, already a couple of, I guess you could call them red flags, jump out at me. One, the original concept art released by Disney showing the exterior of the building. I'll switch to that right here. There is a Stark, quote-unquote Stark logo, but it does not say Stark Motors. It says Stark Automotive. So that's sort of the first red flag that I noticed that jumps out at me. And of course, that may be a small stretch, as you know. Blue Sky designers have been known to tweak the names and things that have been changed from concept art to concept art. I mean, if you look at I guess right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of the concept art released for the new Fantasyland expansion in the Magic Kingdom. Those were tweaked very heavily throughout the years as they finally nailed down on what they wanted to do. And let's see. Number two, on the right-hand side of the image, right here, what is that? What is that right there? Is that an image from the hit video game Portal, which Disney doesn't own the rights to? Huh. Now that is very interesting. Why would, if this was real, why would Disney put in a piece of artwork from a video game they don't own the rights to? I mean, I guess the artist who drew this could just be a fan of the game and could think, oh, hey, that aesthetic fits this. I'll just put that in there instead of making my own poster. But that is, the second quote-unquote red flag that jumps out at me. Number three, we haven't seen any other major news sources really cover this image besides WDW News Today. So all of that sort of conglomerates into my theory of this image being fake. Because, I mean, it looks very official from right off. If you just take a passing glance at it, it looks like an official piece of concept art. I mean, I guess it sort of matches the warehouse aesthetic that Disney loves to do for some reason. We've already seen the warehouse aesthetic in the first piece of concept art released for the outside of the attraction, the show building. And now with this, it sort of fits that whole theme, industrial stuff, repurposed old attraction. Excuse me. Yeah, very interesting theory. This is just a theory, by the way. I'm not accusing WDW News Today, not yet at least, of faking this image. But I'd like to get into a discussion as to whether or not you guys think this image is fake. Let's go ahead and start off with Mr. Lin. What are your thoughts? I guess what are your first impressions on seeing this image, this quote-unquote leaked piece of concept art for the Spider-Man attraction?
I think when I first saw it, I thought that it for sure looked real, but then now you're making me second guess,
Yeah.
which is fine. But I don't know, because if it was leaked out, and it was real, you think that Disney would have had it taken down by now.
Yeah.
Because they're really quick on that.
Mm-hmm.
So if they saw it and it was like, that's not even what we're doing, so who cares? Then I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, and I guess before I get to Alex, that does sort of move into another discussion we had a couple weeks ago when Disney did crack down on WDW News Today posting those fake rumors, because they did go out of their time to write those articles to address those rumors that they put out about the what was it, the Tiki Room and the Country Bear Jamboree. But we haven't seen Disney quote unquote retaliate against this. So it's almost like if it is real, like Lynn said, Disney would most likely go after WDW News Today for publishing their, copyrighted image with their watermark on it, by the way. I feel like people get that lost in the shuffle. They did put their watermark over this image, whether or not they own it or not. That's sort of a sketchy thing to do. But Alex, what are your thoughts overall on this piece of concept art released by WDW News Today?
I think it's fake, but not for the reasons everyone thinks it is. So that hazardous materials sign that you see, that's not necessarily an unheard of thing for Disney to put little, little nods to things that aren't Disney in there, because it's kind of like how Pixar puts the A113 in every movie, because that's where they all went, to class and learned, some of the most founding basic things about animation and stuff like that. And, so that part, and it's concept art. So it's not meant for like the company to sell the image.
Yeah.
It's just meant to show shareholders, Imagineers, executives what they're doing. And the words on the concept art don't even have to make sense either. They could literally write gibberish. It doesn't matter. What matters is the image. Now, there's two things that make me think that this is fake, however. So even though I just defended that those aren't the reasons why it's fake, but the two things that make me think this is fake is, one, that's not how Disney designs the layout of a loading area in today's modern building codes. It's really narrow. There's no room for lines to actually line up at the ride vehicles and for wheelchairs to get past those lines. So usually in a modern loading area, especially in DCA, they leave plenty of room between where the people queue up to get on the vehicle versus the pathway to get to those queues.
Yeah.
And an example of that would be anyone who's rode Thunder Mountain at Disneyland knows that when they line you guys up for each car, it's hard to get past the people that are waiting for one car. You're like, excuse me, I got to get to car number 4, and you're like squeezing past people. So Disney learned from those things over the years and learned to make these really huge loading areas, especially in this decade. So that's number one. Number two is, Matt, can you tell me the resolution of that image?
Yes. I can open it here. I have where is it? I have the image. Here it is. Images. It's somewhere. I swear I was just looking at it before the stream started. Okay, it's gonna take me. I think it's gonna take me a good while to try and find it. It's here somewhere. I know it is, but I'm assuming it's the same resolution. Well, I do have the second piece of concept art here. Let's see. I have that one.
Well, no, I just want to know the one with the loading area.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find. Where did I save it? Is it on my desktop? No. Screenshots? Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. Properties. Details. This image is, let's see, 2,431 pixels by 1,258. I'll sort of show that here for you guys to see.
So the reason why I bring this up is because I want you guys all to think about the last time you ever saw Disney concept art that was that high a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's a super low resolution. We're talking anything below 1200 by 800 pixels. And the reason is because it's always bootlegged. Someone always steals it from Disney and they can never steal a high enough resolution. So it's always a really low resolution, lower than the resolution of your television, you know. And so that's one of the first things that really caught me off guard about this concept art was how high of a resolution it was. Anyone who owns an official copy of this concept art is directly being monitored by Disney. So if it's stolen at a high resolution, Disney will know who is at fault. If it's stolen at a low resolution, they know that someone took it from somebody else. So, you know, in the sense that they weren't able to acquire the official original copy. So that means that the low resolution stuff that you see for concept art is usually a screenshot of the original. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so low resolution. So yeah, so this being as high resolution as it is makes me wonder, like, you know, this seems like an original, and and if it were an original, Disney would have removed it and they would have fired or reprimanded the person responsible for letting it leak. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's why. But yeah, let's, James Casey says the pic could have been part of a PowerPoint, which could have been high resolution. That's true, but once again, you would have had to been able to take a screenshot of the PowerPoint, which would have made your image of it really low resolution.
Yeah, it would be limited to the resolution that the screenshot is, not if like the image is like 4,000 by 4,000. If it's on the computer screen and the computer screen is 1080p, then the screenshot will be limited to the resolution of the computer screen. So
exactly. And you know, and do you really think that Walt Disney World News today has a computer capable of screenshotting something 4,000 by 4,000 resolution? You know, I've got a pretty powerful gaming computer, and even when I screenshot stuff, the best that it screenshots in is 1080, you know, and even then, like, it's not, yeah. So it's just really weird.
Yeah. I really like this topic because there's so many different ways, so many different outcomes we can infer from this image alone and it coming from WDW News Today. I will point out that I think Disney has in the past sent out high source resolution images to
after something has been announced.
Yes, that's the key. Mm-hmm. After something's been announced, Disney has been known to send out higher quality pieces of concept art. Because I was saying I do have I think like the highest quality you can get of this original image they put out, which is 4532 by 2234. But this was after they had already announced that this Spider-Man ride was coming, and this was like image sent from Disney, their marketing team probably, to like the Washington Post. I can't like remember what website it was. One of those big newspaper websites that covers this. But yeah, I don't like I said, there's a lot of different ways this can go. One, it's real, and someone from WDW News Today stole this image, which is like, it's a whole other topic, as if they did indeed steal this image from Disney. That's like legit theft. Like stealing Disney's property, right? I mean, I don't think theft is limited to just like the physical stuff. I'm sure there's like a law out there where if you steal data from someone else's computer and publish it without their consent, and then again put your watermark logo on the image when you don't own the rights to, I have a feeling that there's like some kind of law that Disney can enact on WDW News Today if this is indeed real. And yeah, I guess the other. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I have to respond to James Casey again because they're putting out a lot of speculation about how it could be the real image. So once again, you're talking about someone stealing the original image, and Disney controls who has that real image. So if this leaked onto Walt Disney World News Today, you'd see two things happen if it were real. One, Disney would take it down immediately.
Yeah.
And two, if it were the real image, you would hear Disney try to do something about it, such as removing the image from the people they gave it to, or firing the person who was in charge of distributing this image. You'd hear something happen because it's happened in the past. And so it's like, that's why I don't think this is real, because I mean, once again, this isn't how they design a queue for a ride. And then second of all is the fact that they know who they are giving the image to. And if it falls into the hands of Walt Disney World News Today, they would track down how they got that image and reprimand the person responsible for putting it in their hands. So, and I know this is being released at D23, but it's not like they're sending it out to hundreds of people. They're sending it out to less than a dozen people. So they have a list of who is getting this image, and they know who to talk to if it leaks. And once again, this image has been out for long enough at this point, and Disney has done nothing to remove it. I don't think this is the real image. I mean, I'll admit I could be wrong, but that's what I think. I just based off of what I've seen Disney do in the past.
One more thought is it possible that someone saw the real concept art and then recreated out of memory what they thought they saw? I don't know. Just
that could be possible. Someone saw the original concept art and then decided to replicate it as best as they could,
Yeah, that sort of feeds into, like, there's many different, like, theories that I have about this image, and all of those theories have to do with the watermark that WDW News Today put out on this image. Because, like I said, the original image that they posted on their website, on their Twitter, had the WDW News Today logo right here, right in the center of this second, I guess, ride vehicle. And that...
Yeah, but... Matt, look at your videos. You put out history videos using footage from People and Places Disneyland, and then your watermark is in the corner of the screen. So, I mean, just because the watermark is there doesn't mean that, oh, this is mine. It just means that, hey, I was the first person to put this out, and there's the proof. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That is, I mean, Alex... That is a good point.
That's why I was. This is the way my mind works. That's why I was like, it's fake, but not for the reasons you think it is.
Yeah,
I got a really weird way of thinking.
That is a good point to bring up. So I guess that could, boom roasted. That could may or may not debunk the one theory I have of them putting their watermark on the image because they drew it themselves. And Lynn said maybe they drew it from memory. That could be the reason why they put their watermark on the image, because they drew it themselves. It's not Disney's property. But yeah, this is a big... I mean, if it ends up being real, if we see this exact image released at D23 in a few weeks, we'll eat our words, you guys. We'll bow down to WDW News Today for leaking this image. Yeah, no, we probably, yeah. But I mean, yeah, we could end up being completely wrong. Again, this is concept art. Anything can change from now within the opening of the attraction, within the design, construction of the attraction. So, yeah, this is all just speculation. I think I said that at the beginning. If I didn't, I should have. This is all just us speculating here. We don't want to encourage anybody, witch hunting WDW News Today for it being fake. Because we don't know whether or not it's fake or not. This is just our theories. I love theory crafting like this. It's one of my favorite things to do. Conspiracy theories, all that kind of stuff. It's what I love. I love to talk about that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to bring up to you guys, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below in the chat, whether or not you think this image is fake, whether or not you think it's real, how WDW ended up getting access to this image. Because, yeah, again, like we said, if it is real, then they stole this image from Disney, which I don't think in the past, I'm trying to think of like an example of like a news site getting access to a piece of concept art from Disney for an attraction before they released it. I mean, there's posting like an article saying something's going to happen, like posting an article before Disney announces a Spider-Man attraction, saying that the Spider-Man attraction is happening is completely different than posting a piece of concept art for the Spider-Man attraction when Disney themselves haven't posted the image. So, yeah, again, theory crafting. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments section below. And yeah, like I said, we do have a lot more great topics to get into. But first, let's go ahead and take a quick break to listen to this week's sponsors of the show. If you guys are wondering where you can find even more family-friendly live streams just like this one, head on over to theliveplace.com. The Live Place is your headquarters for great family-friendly live streams. They cover anything from Disney to other vacation spots, various variety shows, and have some amazing streamers like Resort TV 1 and myself. Also, be sure to check out puckermint.com, where you can find amazing pins and stickers. Puckermint is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just a few hours from where I live. And since I'm a big believer in supporting local artists, we decided to partner up. Be sure to use the coupon code down below when you make your next order. Again, that's puckermint.com and puckermint on Instagram. All right, welcome back, everybody. Before we get into the topics, I'd like to say, by the way, Puckermint is having a pre-order for their brand new California Disneyland themed pin. And the first 20 pre-orders will get a free California Castle sticker. Link in the description down below, you guys. Puckermint makes some really amazing pins as well as stickers. Once I get my next paycheck, you already know I'm going to be pre-ordering that pin. Link in the description. Use code MMDAYS for 15% off your order. Again, everything in the description down below. Moving on to our next topic. Again, very exciting topic. I'm excited to get into this. Blog Mickey recently put out a very interesting article. Are magic bands coming to Disneyland Resort? And they do have this image you can see here from Discover the Magic. They do source this image from them. That's what this whole discussion is going to be revolved around. Now, before we get into the discussion about magic bands possibly coming to the Disneyland Resort, I think it'd be nice to go over, to those of you who don't know what magic bands are, magic bands are basically, I guess in layman's terms, they're wristbands used in the Walt Disney World Resort with RFID, I think that's how it's spelled, RFID chips implanted in the wristband. The bands hold your park ticket, your fast passes, your room key if you're staying on property, etc. I think you can also have like a credit card on file as well if you like want to put your credit card on that. So you just hold your wristband up to pay. Wristbands with RFID chips, and you can just hold out your magic band to one of the scanners around in the park. For instance, if you're entering the Magic Kingdom, just wave your magic band, touch it up against the reader, and it'll get you into the park because it has your park ticket on it, as well as scanners at the entrances of different rides that have fast passes. You can scan your... I'm trying to like simulate that. Scan your wristband on the scanner to activate your fast pass for the ride. It's a really neat system, to be completely honest with you. I love the Magic Band system. Now, this is something a lot of guests have been asking for a very long time, bringing Magic Bands to the Disneyland Resort, because they've worked out so well in the past with the Magic Kingdom. I do really think they are a great piece of technology in the Disney parks. Yes, currently here at the Disneyland Resort, everything is optimized to either your physical park ticket or your smartphone with the Disneyland app. Those are the only ways you can have your park ticket to get into the park. Those are the only ways you can get fast passes for the park with Max Pass, or if you want to stick in your physical card into the fast pass kiosks at the rides, you'll get the physical ticket back out. Reminder. Yeah, this has been something a lot of guests have been asking for a very long time. And I have heard a lot of complaints from people, including myself, that the Disneyland app is not very well optimized. It doesn't run very smooth. Not a fan of the Disneyland apps, the Play Parks app as well, whatever that one's called. They're all really slow, in my opinion. Very choppy, all that kind of stuff. And having a Magic Band will basically negate having to use your smartphone to, I mean, unless you want to look at ride times, you can just put your park ticket on your Magic Band, scan that instead of having to open up your phone, enter your password, open a Disneyland app, and then it takes like 20 minutes for the app to open because it's so slow. And then you go ahead and scan it with the barcode scanner. I do think, Max Passes would be a great addition to the park. Now, let's see. Right off the top of my head, I'm just sort of spitballing. I do think Magic Bands and the Disneyland app can work well together. So this discussion won't necessarily be, do we think Magic Bands should come to the park? Do we think Magic Bands should replace the Disneyland app and Max Pass and all that stuff? I do think they could be integrated very well together. For instance, with Max Pass, like I said, currently at the Walt Disney World Resort, you can't book fast passes from your cell phones. I believe there are kiosks located in certain areas around the Magic Kingdom where you can, I guess, sort of log in, select your fast pass, and then it gets loaded onto your Magic Band. You can't just go on the app like you can today with Max Pass. It's a lot more tedious. But yeah, anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on implementing a Magic Band system to the Disneyland Resort? Let's start with Lynn.
I had a question first. I don't know how familiar you are with the Magic Bands, but do you have to be a hotel guest at one of the Disney resorts to use it, or is it
no
available to anyone? Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the great... I mean, if you're staying on property at one of the Walt Disney World resorts, you can have like your room key on it, and you can use your Magic Band to get into your room. But if you're staying off property, yeah, that you can still use a Magic Band to have your park ticket, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so that, yeah, because otherwise that would close off to a lot of people. But I think I've never used them, but it sounds convenient. And I think what you said about integrating, like, so both would work at the same time, that because booking a fast pass on your phone is really convenient. And I think that's one of the best things about the app.
Yeah.
There's other things too, like the mobile ordering, but I don't know. I guess it would really. I was against it at first. I thought, no, I don't need that. Disneyland's more of a locals park.
Yeah.
But I think that if annual pass holders can use it, anyone can use it as long as they have a park ticket. Then I think it would be great.
Yeah, I guess that sort of brings up a different discussion because a lot of people do think of Disneyland as more of a locals park, and I don't really know how many locals would want to put on their Magic Band, if they go like 5 or 6 times a week. I don't know. But Alex, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think a lot of people so far in the comment section, as I can see, forget that Magic Band isn't just for fast passes. Magic Band has everything. You put your credit card on there, and you can pay for stuff with your Magic Band.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you put when you get a hotel room, they put your hotel identification on the Magic Band, and you access your room with your Magic Band. You know, everything you need that you would normally carry around on you to access the resort is on the Magic Band, which is what makes it so convenient, because then you don't have to carry all that stuff. However, that in itself is where I find the problem, because the Magic Band, if it is stolen, has everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
They have access to your room. They have access to your fast passes. They have access to your credit card. They have access to, in some cases, the security lot where your car is located if you drove there. You know, they have access to everything. They'll even find out where you live. That's how much access they have to the Max Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, you know, for $30, is it really worth losing your life over someone else finding your Max Pass? So or Magic Band, I mean, not Max Pass, but yeah, Magic Band. So I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it's like you take a serious risk using this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's the same risk as, you know, your cell phone, but at least your cell phone is locked, so it gives you some time to be able to, you know, report something stolen, report something lost. I mean, if the Magic Band is lost, you know, you probably won't know about it because it's not high on your priority list like a phone is. So I don't know. It could go either way. And I mean, so I'm not going to say that, you know, no, because of anything else. I mean, what am I trying to say? I feel like I'm babbling. It's extremely convenient, and I think it's very helpful because of that reason. But I'm also afraid, like, if you get one, there's just so much risk to losing it that I don't even know if it's worth the $30.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the same as you losing your wallet, though, right? I mean, I'm not saying that what you said is not bad, but I think that if you lost your wallet, that has, I mean, I keep my room key in my wallet a lot of times, and you know, my park tickets and my credit cards. So I don't know.
That's true. I mean, you know, I mean, I don't know if they do this at Walt Disney World, but at Disneyland, like when you use a credit card or even when you use your annual pass to get a discount, they ask you for your ID so they can see your face and stuff like that. But
not with credit cards, they don't. At least with me, the last few times they haven't.
Well, maybe they just suspect me of foul play.
I guess.
Like, you don't look like you have a credit card. But yeah, you know, like, but so far when I use my annual pass to get discounts, they ask for my ID and stuff like that. But I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's the same if you lose a backpack which had your phone and your wallet in it.
It'd be the worst, yeah.
Yeah, it is a very interesting discussion. Now, I guess ping-ponging, that's not the right word, springing, bouncing off the topic Alex brought up. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess this does sort of bring up the discussion, pros and cons of having Max Pass in Disneyland. Now, from what I understand, I do think a lot of people, again, sound off in the comments in the chat if you disagree with this. I do think that a lot of people really enjoy the Magic Band quote-unquote experience at Walt Disney World. Again, the convenience is amazing, having everything just on your wrist. You don't have to fumble around in your wallet to get your park ticket out when you want to come in the parks, all that jazz. From my understanding, I do think a lot of people find that very convenient and do like it a lot. Now, that system itself, that Magic Band system, as well as the Fast Pass Plus system at the Magic Kingdom, I do believe that whole system is really, really optimized for Walt Disney World, for the Magic Kingdom itself. I don't really know how well it would translate over here to Disneyland because, like we said, we already have Max Pass. I think even Shanghai Disney, a lot of the other Disney parks as well have Max Pass. They haven't really jumped on the Magic Bands train necessarily. So it is very, like I said, will the infrastructure work as well here in Disneyland with such a smaller park? Only 2 parks. You don't have all these 4 parks, water parks, all that kind of stuff. Would it really be worth the cost for Disney to implement this when they already have, you can already whip out your phone, scan your ticket to get into the park, scan your ticket to get onto an attraction with your Fast Pass. Very interesting stuff. I guess right off the top of my head, a big con, like I just said, I don't really know if a lot of locals would necessarily be up to annual pass holders. Locals would be up to using a Magic Band. I'm sure it'd be, optional, but I do really see this as a families flying in from like across the country, across the world. Even they get their Magic Bands in the mail. I think that is really what Magic Bands are meant for. Families coming in from out of town. From out of state even. Very convenient.
Oh, but you know what's another convenience? Is like, so I was just thinking like, oh, well, why do we need Magic Band when if they just designed everything right on the app, we can just use our app for all that same stuff. But then I thought about this. What about the little kids that don't have phones?
Yeah.
What if they need to do something, like get on a ride or access their room or whatever, but if you tried to use your phone, the parent would be there like, okay, hold on, let me switch to my child's username and then get that information, and let me switch to my other child. It's like, but with the Magic Band you just go bloop and then the next kid bloop and then it but then at the same time it's like, what if your kid is like playing with their Magic Band, they just throw it away and someone else is like, oh, a Magic Band.
I guess that is a good point to bring up as well. Well,
security
I guess
too, like if a lost child, and then...
that'd be a really great use. Scan the kid's Magic Band, they can find the parents. Okay, yeah, that's another.
That's why I would tattoo a barcode on my kid.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a really great. I didn't really think of that. Having, if your kid gets lost, if they have a Magic Band on, I guess security can take them to like this special, checkpoint they have in the security place. Scan the Magic Band, find the parents' names, all that. I guess, that'd be a really neat use. I don't know if they've implemented that as of yet, but if they haven't, Disney, if you're listening, we throw great ideas at you all the time. This is just another one of those great ideas for you guys to steal from us. But let's see. Trevor says family of 4 cost $120 for Magic Bands. Yeah. I think there's also like optional upgradable with different graphics on it that cost even more than the normal $30, $15. I don't really know the prices right off the top of my head. But I guess we can sort of get into the more cons of having Magic Bands. I did see someone in the chat say, Mr. Sir says, I can say as a SoCal native, I would love the Magic Bands. I guess it's very convenient, but I guess we should sort of get into the cons of the Magic Band system, like I was alluding to earlier. No other Disney resort has really jumped on the Magic Band's hype train, besides Walt Disney World. And I'm wondering if that's more because this system is more optimized for, like I said, for Walt Disney World, where it has 4 theme parks, all these water parks, all these hotels on property. It'd be a better investment to put there where you get more bang for your buck. Disney having these Magic Bands, you get more bang for your buck with all these different ways to use the Magic Band, whereas here in California, you only have the 3 hotels, the 2 parks, and that's really all you have to use the Magic Band for, which I can assume some people would think it's not really that worth it. If we're just going to Disneyland for the day, we're taking a drive through California for vacation. We're going to visit Disneyland just for one day. I don't think a lot of families would think it would be necessarily worth it to buy a Magic Band just if they're going to be visiting for like a couple hours or so. Yeah, those are some cons.
But you know, the irony is that, so just like what you were saying, the con of a Magic Band is the fact that it's only a single use. You know, someone coming from, I don't know, India, and it's like their one trip to Walt Disney World. But that's Walt Disney World's crowds. Walt Disney World's crowds are mostly made up of people that are foreign to the area, and they, you know, and they come for one visit and they probably never come back again. Disneyland is a locals place.
Yeah.
It's nothing but people that always come back. And so it's like, you'd think they would have implemented Magic Band here first.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, this is a very interesting discussion, which, like I said, people have been talking about bringing Magic Bands to Disneyland for I guess like a really long time, maybe like 5 or so years. I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head, but this is a discussion that has been going on for a long time in the Disney community, and you know, just now from a blog Mickey, we're seeing this may or may not be a Magic Band. It could just be, you know, just a plain RFID scanner where you have just like a ticket. I guess, yeah, Sam asks what the image on the screen is. I didn't really explain that. I just noticed. I didn't explain what this image is. So this image is of a quote-unquote Magic Band reader that has been installed in the elevator at the Grand Californian Hotel. So it looks like
Grand Californian?
Yeah.
At Disneyland?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of...
Yeah, up into a room or something.
Yeah, it could be just for, like Lynn said, just, you know, security, have these special RFID tickets, cards, scan it. Oh, it'll give you access to every single floor. I don't really know how the floors, I'm assuming that you have access to all the floors without a room ticket, but yeah, it could just be maybe you want to get to the club level. Reception gives you a special key card, you scan that, and then it gets you up to the club level. I don't know, but it could also mean Magic Bands, you guys, coming to Disneyland. So yeah, you can really take this both ways. It could just be I guess like a coincidence that this popped up. It looks like a Magic Band scanner, may or not be a Magic Band scanner. We'll see in the future. Yeah, it could be a beta test, I don't really know. We'll see in the future as to whether or not this is the first test of Magic Bands. Yeah, I guess closing thoughts. I would be really happy for Magic Bands to come to Disneyland. I do think it would be a great addition. But anyways, moving on to our final topic here. Very excited to get into this. Okay, Not the Killing Type says the top floors already require cards. Could replace that. Okay, so that is, that is an interesting point to bring up. To the end of that discussion. Yeah, now here is the discussion you've all been waiting for. As many of you may know, special guest here, Lynn from TheSweepSpot podcast, link in the description down below, used to be a cast member at the Disneyland Resort. I could be wrong, from 1991 to 1993, and from 98 to 2007, working as a custodial member, correct?
That's right.
Okay, I did my research, you guys. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I felt like it'd be nice to give the listeners here about some background on Lynn, his experiences working at Disneyland as a custodial member, and then we can get into Alex, because I'm not sure if many of you know, but Alex used to work at Disneyland as well. I guess we can sort of refresh everybody's memory with that. So, and I believe Lynn has a couple books that he'd like to promote as well about his experiences. So Lynn, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
I worked you said 91 to 93, and that was at what we called the Plaza Complex, which was Plaza Inn and Plaza Pavilion, which is the Jolly Holiday Bakery now. And then the in-between, which is the cast member restaurant behind Plaza Inn. And I worked there as a busser for 2 years, kind of. And then I went back in 1998 and worked there until 2007 in custodial. after I left, it was because our family decided to move to Utah, where I am now, and I still wanted to be a part of the Disney. I guess I missed it, I guess you could say. And so I was listening to podcasts to kind of get back into, the whole thing. And I thought I could do this. I don't have the best voice and I'm not the most technical savvy person, but I think I could do it. And I think I have something to offer. So met up with the Woodway Radio, Nate Parrish. He's the one that kind of helped me set up our podcast because he was a friend online to me, and so we started. I wanted Ken to do it at first with me, but so he was a regular guest on our show, and I had another friend who I worked with in Custodio, and her name was Laura, and we did almost 100 episodes with her. So, and then Ken committed to doing it full time, and we've been going ever since 2011, I believe.
Wow. Okay.
We just recorded and released our 264th episode, and the book kind of came out of Ken and I and our experiences working there, and we'd talk sometimes. We'd have lunch all the time together, and or on our breaks, and we'd say, "Man, we got to write a book. Some of these stories are amazing." And just joking, I thought I'd never write a book. I'm not like that, but so they're doing the show. We figured, wow, we do have some stuff to write down. So we went ahead and did that, and that was the first book, Queening the Kingdom: Insider Tales of Keeping Walt's Dream Spotless. About 2 weeks ago, we released our most recent book, which is same title, Queening the Kingdom, but it's called Night, Day, Past, and Present. And it is, first one is mostly Ken and I and our experience working there, and kind of how Disneyland keeps it so clean. Kind of, we go through detail on all the areas and everything. And the second one is not necessarily our story as much as it is others, and it goes back into the history of, say, just Disney in general, custodial departments, because a guy named Chuck, and he started the custodial department, who's all the standards you see today in all the parks around the world are because of something that he started. So we go into depth about that, all what they do to clean the park at night, and just a whole bunch of little things in there. But that one just came out. It's on. But that's kind of in a short story. That's the story there.
Okay, all right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, links to both of the books will be down in the description below. I'm gonna have to buy a couple. I'm not much of a reader, but I feel like this would be a great segue into me getting back into reading. Yeah, link will be in the description down below. Yeah, not a big reader, but I'd be interested to read and hear some of the stories he has. But Alex, since, well, I guess Alex has been a longtime guest on the show, and I guess many people may or may not know that he used to work in the parks as well. So why don't you go ahead and give your background working at Disneyland to everybody. Oh, and there was also, I had a question on Instagram from someone, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. He wanted me to ask you how you ended up becoming, let me open the DM right now, hold on. How you ended up becoming a tour guide, I believe, a personal guide at Disneyland. So yeah, Alex, if you get into the background of your history at the parks, and then I guess pseudo answer that question from, let's see, FoxBaby16 on Instagram.
Okay, so basically, I've been a big fan of Disneyland since 2002. I was, well, okay, maybe probably 2003. I was 11 years old. Before that, I did not like Disneyland. I was afraid of it because I thought it was real. And so every time you went on a thrilling ride, I thought I was legitimately in danger. And so when I turned 11, My dad took me for yet another trip to Disneyland. I used to go like once a year, and my dad took me for another trip to Disneyland, and he just got so tired of me being afraid of everything that on every ride he started explaining the special effects. He's like, look, that's the first thing he did, we went on the Indiana Jones adventure, the one I hated the most. And we're on the Jeep going over the cavern of bubbling death, and and I'm trying to close my eyes. I'm like, no, this is scary. And my dad's like, look over the side, the bridge isn't moving, it's just the ropes. And I look over, I'm like, what, really? And he goes, yeah, it's just the car's just moving, but the bridge isn't moving, we're not in danger, and that's not real lava, look, it's light bulbs. I'm like, what? And so I became super interested in Disneyland since then. I just wanted to know how it worked, how everything about it worked. And in the process of trying to figure out how it worked, I learned the history of it. And every day of my life was spent learning the history of Disneyland. My dad would buy me Disneyland history books. He doesn't know as much as I do, but he knew more than the average bear. So he would buy me these Disneyland books that talked about its history, and I would like sneak them into school. And like during class, I would like read Disneyland history. And then he bought me a bunch of DVD sets called Walt Disney Treasures. As a matter of fact, my webcam is sitting on a stack of them right now. And I watched those like a crazy person, memorizing everything. I was just so entranced. So in 2009, when I had turned 17, it was time for me to get a job. And so one of the first places I applied as soon as I turned 17 was Disneyland. I didn't get a response for 6 months, but they finally responded back, and I went to the interviews, and after the interviews they liked me and they offered me a job. I applied for ride operator, and they told me, well, you're going to be a busboy. So I'm like, oh, okay. So my first job in 2009, November 14th of 2009, was as a busboy for the riverfront restaurants in Frontierland. That included Bengal Barbecue, Riverbell Terrace, Stage Door Cafe, and the Golden Horseshoe. The Golden Horseshoe was my first shift. And so I forever am part of the shoe. So I was such a big Disney history fan as a cast member, and my coworkers all knew I was a huge nerd, and I would often just walk around the park, places I didn't even know I wasn't supposed to be, just because I wanted to see everything. I would go to the backstage areas. I would go through the rides at night, even though I didn't know that could get me fired. And I would just observe everything. I was so obsessed, and that's how I learned a lot more history, was through that. But around the year 2011, so 2 years after I was already a cast member, a lot of people were just like, Alex, you know so much about Disneyland history. Why don't you go into guest relations? Now, I was against it at first because at the time, everyone, the cast members, did not like guest relations because, well, frankly, they were snooty people. The way that they acted was... I've got such a better job than you guys. I tour around celebrities. I get to sit on stage. I get to eat on stage. I get to walk through any door in the resort I want to without a security, stopping me. It was just, there really was a snooty atmosphere that came from guest relations. And so I didn't want to be one of those people that all my coworkers who liked me, or didn't really like me, but pretended to. I didn't want to suddenly be everyone's enemy. And so I was like, no. And then as the year went on, people just continued to convince me. They're like, Alex, you need to be a tour guide. That's just what you're good at. And I thought about it, and I'm like, I should just try it. So I applied for guest relations, and I ended up going to like a few interviews with management and guest relations. Back then, it was a really small department. Back then, they had about 100 cast members. Today, that department is now almost at 500 or 600 cast members. So the department is growing significantly. But back then, it was a very small department. And so getting in was not easy. You really had to know your stuff. You really had to pass some tests. And I was able to win them over with my Disneyland knowledge. And of course, they look for how good they used to look for how good you are at customer service. And then they would even call your managers and then ask them details about you. So I eventually got into guest relations, worked there for several years, a couple of years. And you work a bunch of places like information kiosks. You work in Lost and Found, the locker rooms, helping people issue lockers and things like that. And then you work your way up over several months to working at City Hall. City Hall is like the pinnacle location. It's like the location that requires the most knowledge and the most expertise, which is why you work up to it. That was really difficult to get to for me because there was just so much stuff you needed to know. And then another requirement for being in guest relations is you have to learn to be a tour guide. So I went and learned tours. I had to choose. They said, you can choose any tour of this list, but you have to learn one of them. I said, I'll do Walk and Walt's Footsteps. Now today, there's 2 different Walk and Walt's Footsteps, but back then there was just one. And I learned that tour, and then I really liked giving that tour, but I didn't like that it was scripted. I hated scripts. So, especially since the script was highly tailored to making sure that the guests didn't know too much. And people would end up just asking me questions along the tour anyway. And a lot of times, I can't think of an example, but people ask a lot of detailed questions, and in guest relations, most of the tour guides are not supposed to give you detailed information because it detracts from Disneyland, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, then I wanted to become a private host, like some of them become. So I went through tons of training to become a private host, and I even had a secret job in guest relations, and it is a secret department within a department. It's called Helping Hands. I know that sounds weird, but it's basically people that pass down the knowledge of character signatures. So doing signatures is not easy. Anyone who's ever tried to forge a signature before, it's not easy. And characters have to know those signatures to autograph kids' books. And that knowledge comes from the character department, but if the character department needs to do a character that hasn't been done in like 20 years, they go to guest relations, to this secret department that passes down the knowledge of character writing. So I became one of the Helping Hands cast members, and I was able to learn like over 300 signatures of characters. So that was sorry, I'm kind of babbling, but anyway. I eventually left that to go to culinary school because I discovered cooking as my passion. And as I attended culinary school, I eventually started working at the Blue Bayou restaurant as a cook. And that's where I ended my career a little over a year later, after gaining a lot of knowledge at Blue Bayou. So that was my experience at Disneyland. But to sum it up, people ask me, well, what locations did you work in total at Disneyland? I basically tell people, I'm like, well, every quick service restaurant you can think of at Disneyland Resort when it comes to Disneyland and DCA, I've pretty much worked at that place at one point or another. Any quick service restaurant you can think of. And in fact, Lynn just mentioned that he once worked at the Plaza Pavilion. I worked there once before it was Jolly Holiday. It was an abandoned kitchen, and we only used it for special events.
Yeah.
So we would go in there once in a while, do special events, but we'd have to clean the kitchen because it'd be dusty, and everything would be, a lot of stuff would be covered in trash bags. But yeah, we'd still have to clean the kitchen before we worked. But yeah, so that is my experience at Disney. Sorry that was so long.
Okay, well that's kind of cool. I wonder if you two ever crossed paths at one point without knowing it.
No, because he quit in 2007, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I started in 2009. So
Oh, yeah. Well, never mind. That's
Maybe as
sort
a
of,
guest. But,
yeah.
yeah, maybe.
Well, anyways, sort of like a crossover episode. Well, anyways, yeah, really great discussions from both of you guys. Now, onto the main subject that we sort of put off talking about these past couple weeks. I wanted to wait until we had Alex and Lynn both on the show as former cast members. Like I said, links to all these articles we're referring to will be in the description down below for you guys to read up on. Recently, Miss Abigail Disney went undercover to Disneyland, and she said that she was, quote, livid that the company doesn't respect its workers enough, quote unquote. That's what she said. She said, quote, Bob needs to understand that he is an employee just the same as the people scrubbing gum off the sidewalk are employees, and they're entitled to the same dignity and human rights that he is. Now, this is sort of, I believe we've touched on this in the past a few episodes ago, but we've never really had the same, two cast members, plural, cast members' perspectives on this. And I'd like to get both of your guys' thoughts on how Disney currently, I guess, is treating their cast members, whether or not they're being paid enough, being paid a living wage at Disneyland. Yeah, so I guess we can go ahead and start off with Alex.
Oh, so Disney has never paid enough. I believe even in 1955, they never paid people enough. There was a cast member that recently retired who was there from the first week Disneyland opened. His name was Oscar, Chef Oscar. And he had worked there from the first week Disneyland opened, and he only quit like a year or two ago or something like that. And I talked to him once because I worked for him once. Been everywhere. And he said, he said back then he did not earn enough money. He was working like 3 different jobs, but the one job that he wanted to keep of the 3 was Disneyland because he loved it. And so basically he was working there out of love. But yeah, Disneyland has never really paid enough. And I must add, though, that just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't make it okay. So Disneyland has never paid people a living wage, but that doesn't mean that's okay. That doesn't mean that we should be like happy about it. Walt had strived to pay the cast members the right amount of money. The problem was that in the early days of Disneyland, I'd say prior to the year 1960, it was contracted out by theme park staffing companies that were trained by Disney, but nevertheless staffed out by these other companies who paid them very poorly. And then when Walt switched over to hiring his own cast members in the 60s, he tried again, but Disneyland costs a lot of money and to run and to pay people, and it's always been like that. However, there is a difference between then and now, and the difference is that Disneyland is now world famous. It earns more money than it needs, and it has the ability to pay people a living wage. Does it? No. Why? Because they've been able to get away with it all these years. So why would they change that now? That's the thinking at Disney. The other thinking at Disney is, and I've been told this to my face before by management, which is, Alex, you're extremely replaceable. And if you don't like, the pay that you get here, you can leave. Now, I might add that there's a lot of people on the internet right now that repeat that same thing to me. But the difference here is, when you have someone who is so dedicated to your business that they want to stay there their whole lives, I think you have an obligation to treat that person with respect, because they're going to be the face of your company. They're going to be the people that gets you that business. You know, when you have someone who doesn't care, then yeah, maybe you don't want to pay them the full amount. Of course, you know, I own a business right now. If I had an employee that treated the business with such disrespect, no, I wouldn't want to pay them the full amount that I would pay somebody else who is going to promote my business with their kindness, with their love, with their dedication. So, and in fact, I would probably later on fire that person and look for somebody else who could do that. So, but like I said, when you have people, there's a lot of people who are at Disney who are dedicated to the magic, who are dedicated to Walt's legacy, and who want to be the best that they can be because they love Disneyland. Those are the people you need to focus your attention on and your budget on. And to kind of round off what I'm trying to say so that way I can give other people a chance to speak. A lot of people believe that if you work at Disneyland, it's considered like a minimum wage job, which in some cases it is, and those people should just go and get an education and do something better, or strive to become a manager or some other higher paying thing. The whole thing is there's always going to be somebody at the bottom. If you think about it, and I was telling someone this the other day, look at Disneyland. For every manager, there is 1 to 200 employees. So 100 to 200 employees beneath that manager. If you want to move up, you have a 1 in 200 chance of moving up. And that's if you match the quality of the people around you. If you don't have as much experience or as much quality as the people around you, those chances are way lower. So everybody forgets that moving up isn't a straight line. You move up in the shape of a tree, or upside down tree. Roots. You move up in the shape of roots. You know, so, and only one person can be in that spot. So there's going to be 99 to 199 other people that are always going to be at the bottom. And those people are working, in some cases, 40 plus hours a week, dedicating their life to this place. They don't have the time or the money or even just the energy to have other jobs on top of this full-time job to earn a living wage. So this is one of those things where people need to be paid fairly. And let me add, even if you are one of those people that's going out and getting an education for a better job, which once again, I have to remind you, there's always going to be people at the bottom. There's always going to be people at the bottom. Even if you're one of those people going to college costs a lot of money. And Disney doesn't pay enough for you to go to college and work at Disney. So a lot of people I knew had to drop out of college because they needed the money more than they needed the education, because otherwise they would have been homeless and going to college, and then that wouldn't have lasted very long. So that's what I'm going to say.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts to say on that. I probably a lot that you, after hearing you, may not agree with, but I do. Mm-hmm. And as you were talking, like, oh yeah, but okay, so we had interviewed, and I know a lot of old timers that worked at Disneyland. At Custodio, we always had people that were there, like started in the 60s, and I still know a lot of them, but they were telling me that the wages then were to make a living, but were grandfathered in, so those guys had houses and stuff. Not that they were rich by any means, but they were able to make it happen. So there's a couple things that happen, and I heard this over many times, is that when Eisner took over, there became a lot of this pay freezes and things that went on to get the company back. The company was really having some problems financially up to that point. And at that point, things started to change. And also, and something else I was thinking about is that California is just getting more and more expensive to live. And I mean, how much would you need to make make a living? I don't know. I don't live in California anymore for that specific reason.
I did the calculations, and for one person to pay for an apartment and live would be, they'd have to be paid $18 an hour, and that doesn't include the car payment.
So you'd probably want to include that. I mean, most people at least have a car payment. So that was something else I was thinking about, that, and then also, it's not, working at Disneyland is not for the money by any means, and it's not fits to it. I'm not talking health benefits, although that was an option for some, if you worked enough hours and qualified. But it's also, I I see it more and more now. A lot of the perks are being taken away or dissolved smaller, as it used to be when I was working there. The blockout days when we worked there were very minimum. Like, we'd have maybe around Christmas, maybe 3 or 4 days around Thanksgiving, the days that you wouldn't want your friends or family to go anyways. So now I'm seeing these blockouts that are just crazy. Obviously, they changed that more recently a little bit because of Galaxy's Edge and all that, but on what's gone on with that. But for the most part, they've taken all that away. We had a private Christmas party that only for cast members and the studio cast members, and the managers would work the most part and our help out, and we'd have our managers out there sweeping so we could enjoy the party, and it was for you and your family to go to. They got rid of that, and it's more of I think it's more of like a mix-in thing, from what I understand.
They don't even have it anymore.
They don't even have the mix-in. So
nope.
so yeah, they're taking away a lot too. So I'm not like saying that they don't deserve a raise, because I always thought, man, if there was one customer I worked with, his name was Sterling, but he always said, yeah, if they'd pay me a little bit more, I'd probably be out there. Hey, you need a map? You need some help? He said, otherwise, I'm just going to let the guests come to me, So there was that attitude, but then there was also the changes in who they were hiring was more. I'm not trying to say that older people trying to work there but the older people that worked there were more retirees that were doing it, or teachers that just wanted a second job on the weekends or during the summer. Most of the people were college students, and they knew that this wasn't going to be their career. Now, some of them did make it a career, and like you were saying, become a manager or whatever, but some of them I knew learned a trade and then went from custodial into like plumbing or electrical, and then you make good money there because unions and all that. But as far as just a regular, if you were to hire in, it could pay more, but if they did, would ticket prices go up, and everything would probably have to go up, and would people be willing to say, oh, that's okay, as long as the customers are getting paid more?
Well, that's the interesting thing, because
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people bring that up too. They say, well, if you pay people more, the prices go up. Well, that's true. And then to that, I have to say to everybody, the prices are going to go up regardless. So, I mean, everything is, just a few years ago, a churro was $1.75, and it was handmade. And now it comes frozen in a box, factory made, and it costs $5. So, the prices are just going to keep going up. So, and they're not going to go up significantly if Disney starts paying a living wage. I mean, look what happened. Disney started paying people $15 an hour, and did everything skyrocket? No, it went up a normal amount like it does every year. So people are really afraid that if Disney pays people a living wage, that the prices for everything is just going to go up overnight. And that's not how it happens. True, things go up, but they go up by a little bit every year.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I don't need. Now I lost what I was going to say. But I do think, yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be paid more, and I'm not against them getting paid more. I'm just trying to figure out, like, because more people are for like, yeah, pay them more, and that's cool. But I'm trying to also look on the other side of why that's not, because I do think that Disneyland doesn't want you to stay a long time there. I think that they want people to work 2 to 5 years and leave.
Yeah.
That's
that.
Yeah. Do you sense that?
Yeah, that's a new thing, is that, so to everybody who's watching this, there was a time when Disney really valued having cast members there for a long time. They thought that if they stayed several years or more, Disneyland would have this wonderful feel to it, like you're walking into a kingdom built by a family of people, and that was a wonderful feeling, and it worked. The problem is that these people who stay like 20, 30 years end up costing the company a lot of money. Now, that's not a bad thing, but from a business standpoint, you always want to go the cheapest route. And so Disney decided, well, there's a lot of people who, we can afford to do a high turnover rate. We can afford to fire people and hire new people because there's thousands of people who want a job here, and that's never going to run out from now on. And so Disney opted to do it that way. However, the problem now is, well, you're hiring people who stay here only 6 to 16 months or so. And what happens is these people don't treat the park with respect, don't treat the guests with respect. They have this short-sighted mindset like, well, I'm not going to be here much longer, so I don't need to be nice. And I've run into that, and it's really unfortunate, because when you have people that want to dedicate their lives to a business that they believe in, a business, especially a business model that they believe in, you're going to have a really amazing experience for your guests. You're going to draw more people in. But like I said, it's one of those things that's really difficult, because Disney kind of realized, well, we're so popular now that we're not really going to lose business if someone is rude to our guests. So they're kind of like, well, we can afford doing a high turnover, because A, it saves us money on paying people, and B, people are going to come regardless, even if they have a bad experience. I mean, look at the fight that went on in Toontown. Did that stop people from coming to Disneyland? No. So it's just kind of sad. And once again, I have to remind people that Disney can well afford paying people $18 an hour. They really, really can. Does it cost more than usual? Yeah. But they have a really large profit margin now, more than they ever did. And instead of looking towards hiring people with the intent of them only staying about a year, they should hire people that have the intent of dedicating themselves for a longer period of time, because it creates for a better atmosphere and a better working environment. I think.
I think that, at least in my experience, it seemed like the people that were there longer were starting to get grumpy, and at least maybe in Custodia, I don't know the other departments, but it seemed like the newer cast members still had the, what do you want to say?
They had the magic.
They seem more excited. We used to say they're still snorting the pixie dust, but but I did see that, and I started to feel that way. You start to get angry. You start to see what's going on in the politics and the different things that go on. You start to resent it. It seemed, not everyone, because I did know people that were there a long time that didn't have that, but I started to see it more and more. But then the new cast members would come in, and they had this freshness about them that I don't know if that's still like that today. Like I said, I've been gone now 12 years, so a lot has maybe changed, but that's the way it was then.
Yeah, I just want to inject a bit. I feel like that is probably a problem with not just Disney, but with every job that you have. I mean, if you do stay at one place long enough, you're eventually going to see, like Lynn said, the flaws. I was like that my past couple jobs, and I was only there for a few months. But yeah, I just felt like that'd be nice to interject there. I also do really see the two different sides that a lot of people are bringing out. Alex's side, Disney can well afford to pay people more than $15 an hour, and the other side where they think they shouldn't. I'm trying to think the big picture, but I do have a feeling that a lot of this does have to do with the fact that it is so expensive to live in California. Like Alex said, what were the numbers that you ran? 20-some dollars an hour to have a living wage?
18, I think.
You need 18 to earn a living wage, but that's without paying for a car.
Okay.
If you were to pay for a car,
Luxuries,
you'd probably need to earn at least $20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do feel like a lot of this isn't, I don't know how to put this, isn't necessarily Disney's fault, because it is very expensive to live in California, but then on the other hand, they do have the money to pay their cast members well over $20 an hour to make that living wage. So yeah, there are really two different sides to this story, and I'd love to hear everybody in chat, everybody in the comments down below. Yeah.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, are we running out of time?
No,
I just want to say one more thing about that, because it wasn't that I was against it, because I do see that they do ask a lot more than a regular company. If you go work at McDonald's as opposed to Disneyland, they expect more out of their cast members, obviously. So I do think that you should be paid more because of the expectations they set on their cast members to always smile and all these different things. You know, we had a lot more grooming regulation. You know, then we couldn't have any facial hair, any mustaches. You know, sideburns couldn't go below your earlobe. You know, different things. And the reason they added all that is because they needed people to work there more. But they ask a lot because they do have these high expectations of what a cast member does and is. And I think that yes, they should pay more than a normal company, but I don't know where that of the line, you know, as to how much.
So I wanted to address something that Chris with a K had said in the chat. So he said something that a lot of people bring up because it's actually a misconception. It's about stocks. So a lot of people believe that if Disney starts paying its employees significantly more, stockholders will drop out of investing. But it's not true. And the reason is because that's not how stocks work. Disney doesn't pay their employees with stockholder money, because if they did, they'd never be able to pay their stockholders back. That's not how it works. Disney only uses stock money to invest in a structure, whether it's a movie or it's a building at Disneyland. And the payment only goes towards the brick and mortar thing or the visual thing that you're looking at. So that thing. Paying employees at a Disney park is done by the profit the park directly makes. And so a portion of the profit that the park makes goes towards paying for its cups, its napkins, its oil for the ride machines, its gasoline, paying its cast members, all that. And then a significant portion of the profit, which believe me, Disney has a significant portion left over, gets put back into the company to be redistributed. And part of that goes towards paying back the stockholders for things like building Galaxy's Edge. But Disney does not pay people with stockholder money. That's not how it works, because that would never work. The system wouldn't exist today.
It's not consistent.
Yeah. So that's what stockholder money is used for. So stockholders would not drop out because it doesn't affect them. And in fact, if Disney was having issues with being able to afford paying cast members that much money, what would Disney do? Well, they'd borrow stockholder money to build a new land, a new park, a new resort, a new thing in the business that will draw people back in. That's the cycle. So a lot of people, and I'm not accusing you, Chris, of not knowing, but this is in general for everybody, just for everybody to know right now, everything is a cycle, and the cycle grows. The economy is a cycle, which is always growing no matter what you do to it, unless of course it crashes and then it doesn't grow. But if something is healthy, it grows. And so the problem with something always being healthy is that since it grows, you got to keep feeding it. If you stop feeding it, you will kill it. And so the economy is the same way, and I don't want to get too much into the American economy, but we'll talk about the Disney economy, which is much like the American economy. The Disney economy keeps growing. And so that's why we see more parks being built, more lands in the parks being built, all these things. And the reason is because as the costs go up for affording this stuff, Disney needs to make those costs back so they keep building. And if Disney were to stop building in order to afford what they have, then they would never be able to afford what they have because people would stop coming. So the company would tank. So companies have to keep growing. They have to keep investing more money to bring more money in, and then invest that money to pay for the things that they just built to invest in other things. So I know that sounds really crazy, but it's like a plant. You know, if the plant becomes, you know, if let's say you're growing like oranges on an orange tree, you know, but to get to that, you know, to that orange and to keep feeding it costs a lot of money. It's like you got to keep investing into it, allowing it to keep growing, because the more fruit that tree produces, the more money you get in return, which costs a lot of money to grow that fruit. So you got to keep feeding it to grow more fruit to afford it. And to put that into perspective of your life, there's a song which its entire lyrics go, I forget who sings it, but you guys might know. It goes, gotta pay for this car to go to work, gotta go to work to pay for this car. And and once again, it just reverts to the cycle. It's like, if you don't go to work, you can't pay for the car. If you don't pay for the car, you can't go to work. And so if you stop investing money into the parks in order to try to afford what you have, you're going to kill your business. So things have to grow. You have to keep paying people more money. Those people in turn will spend more money because things in their life are going to cost more. And then from there, those people have to get paid more. So it's again, a cycle, and you have to keep filling it with more money in order for things to grow, or you kill it. Sorry people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that was a really great point to bring up, because I do see a lot of discussion about that. Oh, if they do raise the wage for cast members, stockholders will pull up. Thank you, Alex, really, for addressing that, because I do feel like that puts a lot of things into perspective when it comes to discussing this topic. Yeah, I think that's a nice place to go ahead and wrap up, unless you guys have any closing thoughts you'd like to say on the topic.
I'm sure this could go on, and
yeah, it really could. Yeah,
points, but it's interesting, definitely.
Yeah, Alex, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, that was it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, really great discussions. I told you guys this was going to be a really great episode. Thank you all to coming out, watching this live. If you guys don't know why there is a chat popping up on screen, why we're referring to people in chat, it's because we live stream these podcasts every Saturday. Most of the time we stream them at 4 p.m. Disneyland time, which is, what is that, Pacific time? PDT? PST, I think?
I think it's just PT.
PT? Well, Disneyland time. Either way, you guys will understand what we mean when we say Disneyland time. This episode, of course, was recorded not at that time, and I believe next week for episode 100. I still got to nail down the time on it. I believe next week we will not be going live at 4 p.m. Disneyland time like we normally do. We're going to be switching it to the time that we went live today, which is 11 a.m. Disneyland time, not 11 p.m. Please don't get confused. I don't want people staying up till midnight trying to watch the show, but then you miss it. Yeah, next week for episode 100, we're hopefully going to have the big bad Mr. Defunct Land, Kevin Perger, on the show. A lot of you guys have been asking to have him on since episode 1, and it's finally happening, hopefully. We just got to agree on the time. So yeah, tune into my Twitter. The Discord server links will be in the description to get updates on what time we're going to be going live next week. And either or, you don't have to tune in live. You can always just tune into the official broadcast of the show on Spotify, YouTube, of course. What are the other? iTunes, Stitcher, I think we're on Stitcher. I don't know. Either way. But anyways, thank you, Mr. Lin from TheSweepSpot for joining us today on this wonderful, wonderful episode of the show. Again, why don't you go ahead and plug all the social media and stuff that you have so everybody can know where to find you.
Thanks, guys, for having me. It's really fun to do this. And you can get all the information at our website, TheSweepSpot.com. So I know a lot of people I saw in the chat were saying sweet, like... yeah, like sugar, but it's sweep, like sweeping the floor, and then spot. And you could do that at our website, and we have all our information on there. And then you can get our books. We have 2. They're Queening the Kingdom, and one is just volume 1, volume 2, but they have a different cover, so you can tell which one it is. But you can get those on Amazon, and that's about it.
Yeah, guys, link will be...
guys. Fun.
Yeah, of course. No problem at all. Links will be in the description to the Sweep, to the P, yeah, SweepSpot.com, as well as, we'll have everything in the description to the Twitter account, Lynn's Twitter, to iTunes, link to find the SweepSpot podcast itself, and as well as Alex's channel, and his Twitter will be in the description down below. And I don't think I'm forgetting anything else to announce. Yeah, very excited for next week, episode 100 of the show. We've come a long ways since episode 1. I suggest to you guys, go back and listen to the very first episode that we did before tuning into episode 100. I did that a while ago. I couldn't make it through the entire episode, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, it just sort of puts things into perspective. Alex and I have been doing this for over a year at this point, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what?
Well, I mean, let's do the math. I mean, it's one episode every week, and we've done 99 episodes.
So...
There's only 52 weeks in a year. So we've probably been doing this for just a little over 2 years
Has
now?
it been 2 years? It was 2017 when I started my channel. Wow, I was under the impression that it was just barely 1 year. Okay, and I mean, granted, we took a few weeks off in between episodes. So if you factor that in, 99, I'm going to go ahead and put out 101 weeks we've been doing this show. We maybe took a break a few times. So yeah, that is over just about 2 years. That is crazy. Okay, well, yeah, that does put things into perspective. Well, tune in next week for episode 100. And Punisher in chat says, my birthday shout out, Matt. July 1st. Happy birthday to Punisher in chat. Sorry we missed your birthday, but yeah, you can go ahead and submit that in the description down below with the link to the Google Docs. Matt with a good math quote. Yeah, anyways, thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of Matterhorn Mondays. We do appreciate every single one of you. Again, links in the description for Lynn, the Sweep Spot, for Alex, myself, the Discord server. Everything will be in the description for you guys. And yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up from there. Thank you all for tuning in, and as always, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.